I'm going to just be with you briefly on the topic, what do you need? What do you need? Will you join me in prayer? Will you join me in prayer? Gracious and loving God, thank you for this Celebration Sunday. For music, for community, for life, we thank you. Meet us now in our joy and in our questions. Hold space for us as we hear your word. Continue to pour into us, dear God. Continue to lean into us, dear one. And make us ready to receive. Amen. What do you need? Family, we've been traveling through the worship series. I've been meaning to ask, ... right? Hello, Walls. We've been traveling through a worship series called I've Been Meaning to Ask, ... Yes? Yes. I'm about to say, y'all done forgot, all right? I know I've been away, you've been away, vacation just. And in this series with the ... we are asking holy questions. And some of those holy questions we are also answering with honesty. One holy question that we asked was, where are you from? The next holy question we asked was, where does it hurt? And so today, we're already asking, what do you need? What do you need? This morning is part one of Job's story, or just part one with Job's story. And it shows us that sometimes we need answers, and then sometimes we just need someone to sit with us. Next Sunday, we're going to tackle part two. And in part two, Paul will remind us that we need strength to keep going. That sometimes what we need is strength to keep going. Strength just to get out the bed. Strength to answer that text. Strength to have that conversation. Strength to put one foot in front of the other. Because sometimes people will not be there for you, but God always will. So let's begin and let's continue to lean in together today with what do you need? What do you need? The phrase holding space may sound familiar to some people. Anyone? Anybody's ever heard? A few of you have heard of a phrase called holding space. Holding space is not a new term. The psychologist Donald Winnicott in the 60s, he described something that he called a holding environment before we turned around and repurposed it and rephrased it and did all the things we do. He originally called it holding environment. And he saw, as a psychologist, that babies don't just need food and sleep. So in his work and working with infants, Dr. Winnicott saw that babies don't just need to eat and to sleep. They also need to be held, not just in the arms of people, but they also needed to be in a steady presence. They needed to be around other humans as well. And that holding environment is where a first child learns, I am safe, I am loved, I am not alone. And to be honest, y'all, we have not outgrown that need to be safe, to be loved, and that we are not alone. We still long for people who can hold space for us, who can stay present with us, who cannot rush us, who will not attempt to fix us, who will not attempt to solve all our problems. To hold space means to say, with your presence, I'm here. Period. Period. Not I'm here and I'm going, not I'm here, how about, not I'm here and, I'm here. Zip it. Because not everything needs to be fixed. Everybody doesn't want to be rushed. Everyone does not want to hear your story about what happened to you at your house with your daughter, your son, your grandma. at your job. Sometimes it's I'm here, period. I want you to imagine for a moment a nurse in a children's hospital. This nurse may not, sometimes they're not able to help a specific child, to help cure that child, to help that child's illness at all. But by sitting by the bedside, by listening, by offering their presence, they create a kind of holding environment that Winnicott talks about. They give the child a sense of calm and of comfort in the middle of their uncertainty. That's that presence. They can't fix it. They don't have all the words. It's their presence just by being there. And sometimes it helps also to ask, what do you need before you offer? I didn't ask you to come over my house. That's why I don't have a doorbell. I don't know if you noticed. A couple of you have been to my house. I don't have a doorbell. I asked for it to be uninstalled. Because if I did not ask you to come over, don't do it. Hey, holding space and not fixing is important. Not pretending that we have all the answers is important. Just being steady enough to stay. Let's look at Job. The text that was read into our ear gates this morning, when Job's 3 friends heard about all this disaster that had come upon him, they came, even from his own place. They sat with Job on the ground for 7 days. They did not speak to him for 7 days. Did you hear me? They came over. They were invited. They came over. They sat. They did not say a word. They came over. They sat down. They did not say a word. This is in the beginning. This is in our text that we have this morning. And with these 3 friends, they were not perfect, because this is what they did in the beginning. A little further in the Bible, as you read it when you go home, they didn't get it right. They did some other stuff that was kind of shady. But today, what they did initially for right now, they came over, they sat, they said nothing. They came over, they sat down, they said nothing. Come on. They came over, they sat down, they said nothing. I love it. So as they showed up, Job lost everything. Come on now. When I say everything, I don't mean, listen, he lost not just his job, not just his house and his land, not just his wife and his children, his clothes. Not the personal and material things, but here now Job is covered in sores. So he's losing his health and he's on the brink of losing his mind. So when the Bible says, when I say that Job lost everything, that's everything. And I pray to God that nobody experiences that. Ever. And so as Job has lost everything, his friends heard about this. And they showed up. They came. And that's the first step, is showing up. They showed up. They sat down. They said nothing. As they sat down, they also wept with him. They mirrored what Job was doing. They mirrored what Job was doing. Some of us are uncomfortable when other people start crying. And we want to say, there. We want to actually tell somebody to stop crying. That's not for you to tell somebody to stop crying. That's their emotions. That's what they are going through. That's how they are processing whatever they're processing, whether it's tears from sadness or tears of joy. We can place a box of tissues in the room so that if that's what they need, then they will reach out and grab. Our responsibility is to show up, sit down, say nothing. They wept with Job. They didn't try to gloss over his pain. They didn't try to say, well, dude, how come you didn't do any offerings? Job, how come you did? That was then. Later on down the line, they did act up. They did the human thing. Because you know how we do as humans. We act up. But in this moment, their initial, and I love it, what they did initially out the gate, they came, they sat down, and they said nothing. They wept with Job. Because another part of holding space is being willing to share the weight of someone else's grief. Can you share the weight of someone else's grief? You know, when you heard that they're going through losing their job, losing their spouse, losing their health. Is it okay that you don't give them the recommendation for what tea or what doctor to see? They showed up, they wept with Job, and then they were in silence. We get uncomfortable with silence because we want to know what's next, what's happening. How come you're not speaking? What's going on? And it's hard for some of us to be silent, especially some of us that are talkers and like to talk. And sometimes I like to hear my own voice. It's hard to be silent. When we're talkers, when we're helpers, when some of us are people that we want to fix things, that's what we do. I know I grew up in a household with a fixer, that if it couldn't be fixed by actually doing, it needed to be fixed by writing a check. That's my father, Harvey. I grew up with a fixer. I did not need things to be fixed. We did not always need it to be fixed. Sometimes we just needed a hug. Sometimes we just needed a bowl of cereal. Sometimes we just needed to sit outside. We're talkers, we're helpers, and we want to fix things, and you know how we do. Here's what you should try. Here's that doctor that I went to. Here's what happened. This is the one thing that I often hear is when somebody brings to you their struggle, their strife, their situation or circumstance that they're going through, they say, well, you know, God doesn't give you no more than God than you can hold. God won't give you more than you can handle. That ain't in the Bible.
Where is that?
That's not in the Bible. I don't even know who said that. And listen, it's haberdashery. Job's friends show us something countercultural. Sometimes the best ministry isn't the words we speak, but it's in the silence that we keep. Everything's not for everybody. Sometimes it's okay just to call, just to text, to say, you're in my prayers. You don't have to know the details. But I'm going to help you because we want to say something. So I want us to have some items, some things to say in our spiritual tool belts. So here you go. Instead of advice, we can offer empathy. We can say, I'm so sorry this is happening. I'm sorry this is happening. We can say, I'm here for you. We can say something like this, you're not alone.
You can say, I love you, Mom.
I love you, Mom. Yeah. Always acceptable. That holding space is not about having the right words. It's about offering the right presence. Sometimes the holiest thing to do is not to rush, not to hush, but to hold space. So let me ask you again, what do you need? That is very personal to you, because I know what I need right now is going to be different from you, it's different from you, it's different from you and you. And I'm so glad that our pastor friend said that sometimes it's those existential things, and sometimes, yes, it's what can I get you from the fellowship hall? What can I get you from Safeway? What can I get you so that we all have the expectation? And then sometimes it's just simply, what do you need? But also being prepared to know that I don't have an answer, but I can sit with you. I can do what you want me to do and not what I want to do. And so maybe today isn't about solutions. Maybe it's not even about answers. Maybe what you need is someone just to hold space for you. And here's the good news, friends, that God offers that kind of presence through spirit, through each other, that holding space, through a community that shows up, that weeps, and that sits in silence. So as I take my seat on this Celebration Sunday, let's give thanks not only for drums and joy, but also for the gift of presence, of friends, of family, of people, of individual, of our fur babies, of all those that just show up. There's so much and so many shenanigans that are happening right now in our world. I had to disconnect yesterday from the television, watching one more thing, one more barrage, one more injustice, one more threat, so that I turn to the people that are closest to me and ask, what do you need? And try to show up, be present, not say anything, and just be there and to hold space. Next Sunday, we're going to keep on asking in our part 2, what do you need? We'll hear from Paul as he is writing from a place of loneliness and asking for strength. To God be the glory.